Hey everyone, welcome inside our Jersey Studios. 2012 FBU National Championship rounds 1 and 2 in 3 regions on the road to San Antonio are complete through this past Saturday and Sunday. Neil Sika with the Commissioner, Trey McNeill. So glad you could join us, and we're here to have some fun. Trey, my goodness, what great games we had through the first 2 days, 7th, 8th grade, and 6th graders.
Neil, what a great weekend of football. I mean, we saw some awesome plays this weekend and some great finishes.
Okay, well, everyone loves brackets, right? So now it's time to advance teams. We're going to start with the 7th graders first, and we're going to move along here on our road to San Antonio. 7th grade bracket. Let's start in the Plains Regional, okay? So you have Wichita, Kansas City, Kansas. They played in one sectional semifinal. Wichita victorious there. Manny Martinez has his 7th graders on a good pace here.
On a roll here. What a surprise. Nobody expected this. I'm telling you right now, this is a big surprise. So Wichita is going to roll right in to Kansas City.
You know, it's funny to think Midland, Texas, too. They started off so hot. They had that lead at the half, and then Kansas City, Kansas. Great effort to come back and win, eventually falling today to Wichita.
Yes, that Midland team we thought was going to advance further along than they did with that lead. As soon as we saw that, we were like, wow, Midland's going to roll, but we saw what happened there.
All right, moving straight along. So Wichita was waiting on a winner, and that's Arkansas Northwest Louisiana. And then while we have the time, we're going to say our Zenith Player of the Day, Slade Bolden, Northwest Louisiana, threw 3 touchdown passes, playing 9 plays of the game. He was 4 for 4, took a hip pointer, missed the second half, but they roll Arkansas 38-0. So Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport wins, and now they're going to hook up in Kansas City. Next Saturday and Sunday are the regional semifinals and finals, this part of the Plains bracket. Wichita and Northwest Louisiana should be a good one.
Very good one here, Neil. Northwest Louisiana has a top player in the 7th grade. We're going to be needing to watch him.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him as we move along. Further, trying to advance to Kansas City in the 7th grade bracket out of the Plains Regional. Iowa and Minnesota. You know, Iowa's 8th grade impressive. So is their 7th grade team. They come out of there. They beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin had to play twice yesterday at the 7th grade level. Iowa beats Minnesota. Iowa now moving on into that first regional semifinal. They're going to play Dallas because Dallas comes out of there beating Austin. This is always a tough bracket. Take your pick.
This is going to be a great matchup. This Dallas 7th grade team is one of the top. So is that Iowa. In fact, all the Iowa teams, I believe, swept this weekend. It's going to be a great matchup, one everyone should try and see.
Now, speaking of Iowa and Dallas, there's the matchup in December 8th and 9th in Kansas City. And you saw up top as you have Wichita waiting in the wings, Northwest Louisiana as well. We move along to the East Regional. These games were in Boston, Massachusetts, Connecticut North. Mass the winner there. Mass was strong across the board all weekend long. P.J. Vanderwright taking care of business with his teams.
Nothing new here. We expected Mass to roll on through, and it would have been a shock had they not.
Connecticut North was very strong in defeat there. How about New Jersey? This is kind of a feel-good story developing, Trey. They've been through this storm over the last month and a half. It was tough to practice for a while, and here they are. New Jersey is moving on into the next round, the regional semifinals. They're going to be played in Mansfield, Ohio, just between Columbus and Cleveland next weekend. And as you can see, there's the matchup, Mass and New Jersey.
This is going to be a great matchup. I've talked to Javon Thomas in New Jersey. This is quite a talented New Jersey team, so this ought to be a heck of a matchup.
Okay, that's one of the matchups in Mansfield, Ohio. The other, Maryland. If anyone was making a statement and it wasn't really talked about, it's Maryland all across the board. 7th, we're going to talk about their 8th graders in a little bit. They beat Central Virginia. And then you have Chicago, a team that's new to the fold here. They're joining in the region. They'll take on Maryland in this regional final. It's kind of a wild card with Chicago. 10 million people in the metropolitan area. What will we have in store from their 7th grade team as they take on Maryland and Mansfield?
You know, it's hard to tell at this point. Obviously, Chicago kind of got a buy into the regionals this year, and this Maryland team looked very strong. So hopefully Chicago's working really hard this week to get prepared.
Okay, Maryland and Chicago, that's in Mansfield. Further on down, Nashville. My goodness, out of Tennessee, these boys, first time in the tournament, they beat Kentucky, then they beat Louisville today. They move on out of Elizabethtown, and North Georgia beats Georgia Middle School. So that means in Atlanta next weekend, it's Nashville and North Georgia, that North Atlanta area.
Yes, this North Georgia team is out of that GYFL league. They are stout, but obviously we're all surprised at this Nashville team getting out of Kentucky with a win here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Congratulations to them. Gwinnett Football League, as Trey was just referring to, with the North Georgia team. Charlotte and North Carolina. So this is Team Charlotte, and Larry Kennedy has put together some good groups of players at the 7th grade level, the 6th grade level. Charlotte wins. They defeat North Carolina soundly. South Florida, Central Florida. We talked about what a big day it was on our scoreboard review for South Florida. 28-0 over Central Florida, though. I didn't see that coming in this 7th grade game. And so it's Charlotte and South Florida. They'll meet in Atlanta.
This is going to be one of the most exciting matchups. Charlotte rolled through their bracket, just like Maryland did. South Florida, though, 28-0 over Central Florida. Larry's team better get ready here.
So you have a look at where we are through the 7th grade as the 3 regionals are set in Atlanta, Mansfield, Ohio, and then Kansas City. The Pacific first and second rounds. And a reminder to everybody, they're starting a little bit later because their seasons partially ended later, and they'll all get going next weekend. So it's going to be a full slate of action. First and second rounds in the West, and then the regional semis and finals in the 3 other regions. More great football. 8th grade bracket now. Moving along, let's take a look. The belle of the ball a year ago was the lone champion. Now they have 7th grade, but 8th grade is still what you would say the cornerstone of this tournament, this FBU National Championship. St. Louis, they only had an 8th grade team coming out of Wichita. They beat Kansas City, Missouri. They beat Kansas City, Kansas. Remember, this Missouri team lost to Kentucky in the regional final. At least their 8th graders did last year. And then it's St. Louis taking on Southeast Louisiana. They beat Northwest Louisiana. Sorolla Palmer puts together this 8th grade team with a monster backfield. Defensively, they've got guys over 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". They're going to get St. Louis, Kansas City next week, December 8th.
Wow, wish I could be in Kansas City next week, and I'm telling you, belle of my ball in this was Northwest Louisiana. Southeast Louisiana takes them out. I'm telling you right now, this is stout. Southeast Louisiana has become my favorite to make it to San Antonio.
Yeah, they are out of the New Orleans area, of course, Baton Rouge. So, further on, who else is going to join them in Kansas City? Well, we talked about Iowa. If you don't know Tony Lombardi's name by now, you better. The kid's thrown 11 touchdown passes in 2 games. Iowa beating Wisconsin and then beating Minnesota here today, 40-18. That was a 2-point game they pulled away. Iowa moving on into the region. Let's get that sensor working. San Antonio and Austin. Here's a feel-good story, if you've ever had one. I was saying this in the score updates. They're 2 wins away from playing in their home. San Antonio pulls the shock, really one of the shocks of the first round, beating Dallas. Then they shut out Austin, Trey. They shut them out 18-0 to move on. And with it, there's the matchup, Iowa-San Antonio.
Great matchup. If you want to win, you better stop the spread offense. Iowa spread offense, we've seen what they can do. San Antonio better get ready. Southeast Louisiana better get ready. Anybody that advances to play Iowa, you better stop that spread offense.
Good stuff. 8th grade, rolling along. We go back to the East region. The East Regional semifinals and finals to be played next Saturday and Sunday. Massachusetts, Connecticut, North. Same old story here. Massachusetts, man, they've got this Sibilia and Silva in the backfield, and on defense, the 2 S's powerhouse their way through. And, strong efforts by Rhode Island, Connecticut North, but Massachusetts has been there before. They are victorious. Connecticut South returned the kickoff at the second half. An upstart Long Island team, great win for them last night, but Connecticut South gets that victory, and now you have Mass and Connecticut South. This is an interesting game in Mansfield, Ohio, next Saturday and Sunday.
Very interesting. Obviously, we know what Mass is capable of. I think Connecticut South could surprise them. Connecticut South's got some talented kids on that team.
Okay, rolling along. Who else is going to join them in Mansfield, Ohio? Well, we talked about what Maryland did at the 7th grade level. How about the 8th? They're going to play Central Virginia. They beat Central Virginia today. And they're going to get Chicago, another team. Chicago's 8th grade going to get a bye. And just like you said with the 7th grade, Chicago better be ready.
Talk to Joe Malavi on this. He said he's got a very talented 8th grade team this year. Got a couple running backs and a great quarterback on that team. Can't wait to see these guys get in action big time. Maryland's going to be tough, is all I can say. This is making up to be the matchup, I think, as it was last year with the Maryland-Massachusetts. Not trying to jump ahead here, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see if Connecticut South or Chicago has anything to say about that. That's Mansfield, Ohio. Remember, it's about halfway between Cleveland and Columbus. Those games kick off next Saturday. Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Well, it was a surprise when they lost on the 7th grade level. Not so much on the 8th. However, they got a scare from Louisville today, Trey. They advanced, just winning by 7. Louisville was driving in that game, too. Very impressive showing from them right out of the gate.
Very surprised. Larry Hopper did a fantastic job with that group of kids that he had. Almost got there, ball on the 5-yard line, 1 minute to go. Just took a sack, just almost there.
North Georgia, well, they had the bye into the final today. Georgia Middle School, North Georgia, that team out of the North Atlanta area. They move along, and here you go, Kentucky and North Georgia. How about this one?
This is
in
a
Atlanta?
matchup. This is a big matchup. These two guys know each other, Greg Mitchell and Eric Richards. There's a little bit of rivalry going on there, and I'm telling you what, they're both fired up to play each other.
Good stuff. Okay. Further on, we go to the Southeast final region completed, or at least with their semifinals and final matchups. Charlotte against North Carolina. Looks a lot like the 7th grade bracket. Charlotte wins it there. And then here's that game everyone's been talking about. 13-12. South Florida defeats the defending 8th grade champion, Central Florida. And Trey, to be honest, and you could say this about a few regions, but ultimately, these two teams, you know, you could stick South Florida in the Pacific, Central Florida in the East. They may meet in the title game.
You never know this. I got a call during this game. Somebody said, I'm watching the championship game right now. And I was like, well, wait a minute. There's a lot of talent in this country. But you know, we know what comes out of Florida. So South Florida is going to be tough.
Yeah, and South Florida, too, they do it at 7th grade. They're on their way out of Orlando. So here's the matchup, Charlotte and South Florida in Atlanta, December 8th and 9th.
There it is, Larry again. Larry Kennedy out there is going to be matching up against the Florida team again. So
don't
for
sleep
Charlotte.
on Charlotte.
Yeah,
no
don't,
doubt
not at
about
all.
that.
They swept their brackets.
Okay, we are all set in 3 of our regional semifinals and finals: Mansfield, Ohio, Atlanta, Kansas City. And you can follow along. We've had updates all week. Phenomenal job to all of our crews across the 11 regional sites, the players, coaches, families, everyone who contributed in this second annual FBU National Championship through the first couple of days. Been outstanding, really, to watch the stadiums fill up. I mean, this is the talk, really, of America right now, this youth
You know,
national
they had a
championship.
huge crowd in Iowa today.
Yeah.
There was a big rivalry matchup between Iowa and Minnesota, you know, that Big Ten matchup that you've got going on. We've got stadiums starting to fill up. Very surprised at the attendance turnout. We got to keep it going.
Yeah, and we're going to keep it going. We don't sleep here. We're going to be here for you all through the week, and then you can catch up, get ready for the rounds out west, as well as the regional semifinals and finals. We're going to have full scoring updates through the weekend, highlights as well a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. Facebook.com/National Championship, Twitter at FBU_NC, Instagram/Football University, YouTube Football University, FBU Youth National Championship.com. The Commissioner, Trey McNeill, get some rest, why don't you?
Need to. Long weekend. Long weekend.
Until next weekend, I am Neil Sika, thanking all of our staff here in our Jersey studios as well. We will talk to you on the road to San Antonio next time. Until then, good night.